I always will remember well the day we went away, sailing out of Belfast in the morning.
Tell me, did you see him sailing through the sky, diving like a swallow, and the crowds go crazy? Still you hear them whisper, no need to fear, Big Pat Jennings is here. Big Pat Jennings is here. But first of all, we'll have a listen to a song that was inspired by Pat Jennings and a very good friend of his called Larry Powell, who was organising an event one night, and Pat was the main guest, of course, and the song came out of that. Here it is.
Tell me, did you see him sailing through the air, diving like a swallow, and the crowds go crazy? Soon you hear whisper, no need to fear, Big Pat Jennings is here. Pat Jennings is here. Born in Uri City when it was just a town, and he, a young lad dreaming, playing Gaelic football in the fields of County Down, all those ancient skills receiving. Working in the timber yard, that would be his trade, like his father had done before him. But then one day a letter came, a knock upon the door, a whole new world was calling him. Tell me, did you see him sailing through the air, diving like a swallow, and the crowds go crazy? No need to fear, Big Pat Jennings is here. Big Pat Jennings is here. From Uri Town to Watford, to Arsenal from Spurs, all on that road to glory. He played for Northern Ireland more than any man before, and his fame is a well-known story. He met with a lovely Eleanor, a singer of renown. They made a home in London. There was many's a night of music, and Luke Kelly would come round, and the songs went on till morning. take their talent and reach the very top and rest in history's pages. Some will keep on going with the gifts that they have got to the dark and the lonely places. I saw him in a hospital shaking little hands. I saw their faces beaming. I still can hear them whisper, no need to fear. There's dreaming, there's believing. Tell me, did you see him sailing through the air, like a swallow, and the crowds go crazy? So you can whisper, no need to fear. Jennings is here. Big Jennings is here.
Well, Big Pat Jennings is here. Pat.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great. You're very, very welcome. Delighted to see you.
Pleasure.
Pat, just looking at some of those pictures, I think, was it Spain? It is a little bit like a crowd of horses coming towards you, and you were the only one there to go out and stop it, and you took the ball from the man's foot, practically. Do you remember those amazing moments?
A lot of them, it's difficult because I think in my career I played 2 short of 1100 first-class game. So if you can imagine, it's very difficult to remember certain incidents. But usually whenever you see them on film, all of a sudden you're back in the middle of it again. You know? But I mean, that particular match, I mean, it was a brilliant occasion. And
when was that? And it was
1982 Spain. And I'd been trying to qualify since being part of the international team way back from 1964. George Best and myself started in the international team 50 years ago, back in April there. We both got picked for the team. Wow. And I've been trying to qualify for a World Cup every 4 years, you can imagine. And obviously whenever I got to coming up to 82, you're thinking, this is a pass me all by, I'm not going to make it.
Yes.
And then somehow I managed to qualify for the 82 World Cup. And I mean, then whenever we went there to go and beat the host nation, I mean, one of the greatest nights of my life.
That is incredible. I remember that very well. Well, Pat, no matter where I travel in the world, I know of no one who is so well known as yourself. Germany, France, Holland, everywhere in Europe. Your name is so well known, and indeed your life in football is fairly well documented. But most people in the international view don't really know all the moments in Newry and around here before you headed off to that international stage. Could we rewind the tapes somewhat?
How far back do you want to go?
Indeed, Pat.
Well, I left school at 15, Tom, basically.
Before that, you were born where?
In Chapel Street.
That's overlooking...
Opposite the old chapel near that.
Yes, yeah. And overlooking both the marshes or Esler Park and the showgrounds, as they are these days.
Yeah.
So there were, you had moments of viewing those two scenarios, I suppose.
Spent my early days all around the Gaelic pitches in down around Newry.
Yes.
And of course, Catholic schools in those days, we played Gaelic football at school.
Yes. Rule 27 or...
Yeah, was that it? Yeah.
I think so, or Rule 32.
But that was the game that was played. It was that or hurling. So mostly it was played at the Abbey there. We played the Gaelic football. And I played midfield, which I didn't realise just how beneficial that was going to be to me down the line, you know.
Yes. For positioning yourself for dropping
the
ball.
Plus the fact that you were competing with everybody going with their hands, you know.
Yes.
In midfield, and then you were taking the knocks as well as you do in the Gaelic game.
Yes.
And then whenever I started playing serious soccer, in those days everybody played with wingers at soccer, and the crosses came in with snow on them. They were hung up in the air, not like so much nowadays where they're driven in. And
yes.
So I mean, I was out amongst people trying to head it, and I was 3 foot above them using my hands. So psychologically,
that was a great preparation.
Yeah, without realising it. Yeah.
Well, Pat, you went to the Abbey primary school?
I went to the primary school, didn't pass me 11 plus.
Neither did I.
So then I went on to St. Joe's. I think it was the first year of St. Joseph's.
So did
on
I.
the Armagh Road.
I think I was in St. Joseph's, possibly the same class as you.
Same year anyway. 50,
Because
58,
I was only a
57,
year there,
yeah.
and then I went to Colans. But I've been trying to find old photographs to see who all was in that class, because
Yeah.
it would have been, it was the first year it opened.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Was
first
Dan
year.
Collins there?
Yes, yeah, he was one of the teachers. Mr. Kearns was the head principal in
Yes.
those days.
Yes. Mr. Healy
Seamus Mallon.
Was Seamus there?
He was my teacher, yeah. I keep reminding Seamus every time I see him that he used to teach speech and drama.
Yes.
So I said, Seamus, you didn't do much for my speech and drama. But he said, you forget then that I was also your PE teacher.
Ah.
So, I mean...
Seamus was a good footballer too, wasn't he? Didn't he play for Armagh?
I think he did, yeah.
Yes.
I played a few games of golf with him, and I've been his guest at the House of Commons on a couple of lovely occasions as well, you know.
Yes. Well, at St. Joseph's you played Gaelic football, obviously. Or was there much football in
Well,
those
yeah,
days?
there wasn't a lot, not as there was at the Abbey, but we did play for St. Joe's as well. I remember playing in Hilltown and played basketball as well for the school. The other teacher was Mr. Bradley. He was the PE teacher. So I can remember going to Derry to play basketball for the school. And in fact, whenever I left home at 17, that was the furthest north I'd been, Derry, and further south, Dublin, you know.
Yes, yes.
At 17, I'd never been out of the country, you know. So
Well,
it's changed times.
Were you playing during that time at school, St. Joseph's and so on? Were you playing football or both?
I actually started playing in an under-19 league here out in the meadow. Different areas of the town adopted the names of famous clubs, and the rivalry and the matches, you can imagine it, in the town was unbelievable on a night, and we would have had maybe 800-900 people watching the games.
Yes, yes.
And
Under 19s, what age were you?
I was 11 playing.
You were
goal,
11?
playing in goal as well. Wow. So I used to have to get a little run in to touch the crossbar in those days, but somehow I coped with it, handled it, you know.
And
it's nice. It's now Jennings Park.
Yes.
That was where football started for me.
amazing.
So that was a nice
That's
honour
just,
that the local council gave me here, yeah.
Yes, yes.
But I mean, whenever you look back, I look now at the facilities, and I mean, we got changed literally. There was a little culvert underneath the road, no such thing as changing rooms. That was where we got changed. Some nights it was raining, and we rolled our clothes up on a ball and put them on a piece of wood. That was it, you know.
Yes, yes. And what is the name of the team? Is it
We were Shamrocks, yeah.
Shamrock Rovers?
Shamrock Rovers,
Shamrock
yeah, and then there
Rovers.
was Celtic and the Arsenal and so on,
Yeah,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
Ballabot here, local.
Yes.
But as I say, the rivalry was brilliant on the night. I mean, it was
Do you
just-
remember any of the other players at that time? Of the
There was lots of players that made him. My brother Brian, he went on to play for Coleraine,
Ah, yes, yes.
amateur Ireland, and in
Yes.
fact down the line it was him that got me back into football.
Yes.
Jimmy Irwin, people like that, Tom McAteer,
Well, you played for...
Kenny Holliday. There was loads of all the lads that made it in Irish football.
Yes, yes.
Actually, from this area, they all started in the meadow there. Yeah.
You played Gaelic football for Shamrocks? When you were in Shamrocks?
Yeah, but
Yes.
it was only at sort of junior level as well, you know.
Right. And that would have been in the marshes, or?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Shamrocks, yeah.
Yeah.
In the Mashes, yeah.
What age were you when you left school?
I left school at 15, and in those days, if you didn't have an education, I mean, you took any sort of a job to get a few bob. And I got a job in the local factory, Horrocks, is down the Warren Point Road. I used to have to clock in there in the morning at 8 o'clock and back out at 6 o'clock at night. And I think my wage was £2.18 a week, and I was delighted to get it.
Yes. Yes.
So, I mean, that was, and then unfortunately the factory closed after I'd been there 10 months. Nothing to do with me, I hope, but it closed. And then my father was working on a timber gang up on the mountain just outside Newry and Mike, and he got me a job with him in the timber gang.
And what were you doing there, Pat?
Well, the Sawyer would go in, they were clearing the whole mountain for
Okay.
Haldane's here, the local building firm. And they would go in, and maybe the Sawyer would go in and cut 80, 100 trees. And it was my job then to go along with a hatchet, trim all the branches off the trees, so as these trees could be dragged off the mountain by horse, and my father was one of the horsemen. So there was nothing you could get, nothing mechanical up there. The mountain was so steep.
Yes, yes.
So that was what I was doing.
No wonder you became big and strong.
Yeah, and didn't realise it, but I mean,
Yes,
I couldn't
yes.
have done any better training. I mean, I was up and down the mountain. I was like, you know, it was brilliant for me training-wise.
Yes.
And then, I mean, my brother came in to me one night, Brother Brian. He was playing with the local Newry United team here, and said to me that the goalkeeper was going to England for work, and why don't you come down and do a bit of training with Newry United, and you might get a game. And you can imagine me coming off the mountain on the night. The last thing I wanted to do was to go training,
Yes, yes.
and have a cold shower at the end of it, you know. So then he came in another maybe 2-3 weeks down the line. He said, look, the keeper's gone this weekend. Why don't you come down? So I actually went down on the Thursday night. Got picked for the team on the Saturday, and finished up at the end of that year winning the Irish Junior Cup.
Wow.
Something like 300 teams taking part. So that was me up and running, and then the next year went the Newry Town team.
Mm-hmm.
Was
They were
there-
semi-professional, were they? Or?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
no, I mean amateur, like.
Okay.
Yeah, but there was no professional football in those days, you know. But I was there 3-4 months again, and the chairman, Sam McCulloch, local lad here, come to me and said, look, I'm putting your name forward for selection for the Irish youth team. I said, what does that mean? He said, if you get picked, there's a European youth tournament coming up, and if you get picked, you'll be obviously in the team or in the squad. And I'm not so sure. I wasn't jumping up and down about it. I'd never been away from home, as I said earlier. Never been any further south than Dublin or any further north than Derry. But it was the year of the big snow. I don't know whether you could remember that, 62, 63.
Mm-hmm. I would remember it. I do.
Yeah.
The big snow, yeah.
Unfortunately, we can remember it.
Yes.
But the trials were cancelled, and now I got picked to play for the team. We were in the Irish B League in those years, Newry, and we got drawn against Crusaders in the Irish Cup at Newry, and I had a particularly good game.
Yes.
And the chairman of Crusaders, he was on the selection committee for the youth team, and he came in to me afterwards in the dressing room and said it would be a pleasure to have me in the Irish team. So I knew from that minute on that I was going to be in the squad, but we still had to go down south to play, down to Dublin to play the south to see who was going through to represent Ireland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We finish up winning, and now I'm off to England, and 10 days later, unbelievably, finish up playing at the world famous Wembley.
And you, meanwhile, you were up on the mountain in Mike.
Yeah, that was
cutting
what I was
wood,
doing. Yep, yep.
So, within the matter of days or weeks, you were up there cutting wood and in Wembley saving goals.
I came off the mountain literally, and 10 days later, we somehow managed to get through to the final. We played England at the final at Wembley in this European Youth Tournament. So that was how lucky I was. And I wanted to join on the Irish team. I never dreamt about professional football. Didn't think it was available to me.
Yes,
But
yes.
I mean, once got involved in that tournament, then all the scouts of the country are watching players, and
Yes.
I was literally back at work, went to Newry. The night I came back and went for training, and Sam McCulloch was there again. There's one or two teams in for you. Watford, who I eventually signed for, and also Jimmy Hill from Coventry. He was the manager of Coventry at the time.
Yes.
And the deal was done between Newry and Watford, and I joined Watford.
And you headed off from where to get to Watford?
From Belfast Airport, yeah.
Yeah.
Flew over, and at the end of that season, the season was held up because of the bad weather. They had 4 games to go at the end of that season. They didn't play me the first 2 games because Watford were in danger of being relegated from the 3rd to the 4th division. So they didn't play me the first 2 games, and then they got themselves out of relegation bother. And they played me then the last 2 games that season, and I played every game then the next season, right the way through for Watford. And we actually needed to beat Luton the last match of the season to get promotion from the 3rd to the 2nd division, and we missed out by a point. But as you can imagine, I had a really good year. And all the time along, I'm reading that one or two of the big clubs are interested in me in the Sunday papers. And then, of course, it broke that Tottenham were in for me. And I mean, in those days, Tottenham were the team, the just first team to do the double 60-61, and the first team to win a European competition in 63. So, I mean, that was the club to join.
Well, being away from home, was that the first time, you know, when you went to Watford for that period of time, was that the first time you were away from home? What was that like?
Yeah, as you can imagine, yeah, never been away from home at 17. It was strange, you know. But, I mean, it was doing something that I would have done for nothing. I signed my first contract for Watford at £23 a week, plus 25 I made the first team. 23 to sign, 25 I played in the first team, plus bonuses. And we were having a great year at Watford, so, I mean, I thought I'd won the pools. Couldn't believe my luck. Somebody paying me to play football, which would have done for nothing. But, no, that was how lucky I was.
Just thinking about, you know, moving from cutting wood, which of course is a pretty exciting job too in many ways, but the level of moving onto a world stage of football, I suppose it's no wonder that a lot of footballers or a lot of pop stars or whatever lose it a bit. Because the endorphins must be flying all over the place. One minute you're up there, and then suddenly the game's over, and you come down from that amazing high. This is something that you've dealt with better than anyone I know, because you carry this mantle of greatness very lightly. Is that something? Is it part of your nature? Is it something that you work at?
I think there's a lot of things. I mean, it's having confidence in your own ability and being able to deal with it, you know, the pressures of that, and being good at what you do. I think that was a big help, you know.
Yes.
But, I mean, it hurt me really bad as well. Probably my wife could tell you better whenever I'd come in after matches where I'd maybe made half a mistake. Thankfully, there wasn't too many.
Yes.
But that was the highs and lows. Whenever you played well, maybe made half a dozen saves, and one save that even kept you in the game or won you the game.
Yes.
That was the highs. But then likewise, there was the lows where maybe you thought you should have done better on another occasion, and games that you were expected to win that you didn't win, and that was the lows. But it was just dealing with it, you know, and picking yourself up to go and play again the next week.
And the position
plus the fact, I mean, as you went on, you had a reputation to live up to. Every time you played, you were going out to live up to that reputation. So that kept your standards up as well.
And the position of the goalkeeper, the ball might only come in once or twice, and you have to get it every time.
Yeah, well, it was concentration as well. I mean, you're kicking every ball with your fellow players, and as you get older and more experienced, you're like the conductor of the orchestra, where you would understand that, where you're pushing people about and pulling people into position in front of you.
Yes.
And that all comes obviously with experience. You don't have that whenever you start playing football, but that's part of the game as you get older.
You see the game developing out in front of you, and you can
filling holes and filling gaps.
Defense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Before it occurs, so as you know, you're getting all the gaps closed in, so as there's only small areas of the goal to hit, rather than those gaps appearing, and now the goals.
There's a lot of mathematics in it as well. I was just looking, that fella coming through at one stage, and you didn't have to look around. You knew exactly the angles involved.
Well, it's all part of learning the game. Like, and now, I mean, I still work at Tottenham with the academy boys. I was first team goalkeeping coach at one time when I went back with Ozzy Ardiles in '92. But I'm now working with the academy boys, and we have 2 and 3 goalkeeping coaches. And in my day, I spent all my days at Watford, all my days at Tottenham. Never had a goalkeeping coach, so we learned along the hard way, learned through mistakes or making mistakes.
Yes.
And nowadays, I mean, we speak to the young academy keepers and we tell them exactly where they should be. Whenever the ball's in a certain situation or a certain position, and it's us literally passing all our experiences to these kids.
Yes.
So lucky boys.
It's amazing. Yourself and George Best, of course, were very good friends. You both started playing for Northern Ireland at the same time, did you?
50 years ago, back in April there, yeah, we both got picked to play against Wales. Northern Ireland had been beaten, I think, 7 or 8 at Wembley the previous match, and I was picked then to play in the next game, which happened to be Wales away, and George was picked as well.
Yes, you're both about the same age, were you?
So we actually roomed together for
together.
all the internationals. Fortunately, George only played 37, 38 times, and I was lucky to go on and play 119.
Yeah, he didn't get playing in any of the World Cup games.
No, which it's always my regret for him that, I mean, he was such a fantastic player that he never played with in the World Cups. I was hoping he was going to make it in '82. Billy Bingham, I think, had looked at him and thought that maybe he might put him in the squad, but for whatever reasons he didn't make it.
What sort of a lad was he in those days, Pat?
Absolutely lovely lad. Same as he was after every international. Same lad that I'd met in '64. I didn't know him. I hadn't played against him at that time. I'd only read about him. I was in the 3rd Division with Watford. He was just starting, getting into the team at Man U. But as soon as you seen him at training with the Irish team, you knew you were watching a real talent. So, I mean, what a player, fantastic player. When you look at the Ronaldos and...
Yes, he was amongst in the forwards. Amongst the forwards, he was forward.
Yeah. Messi and people like that nowadays. I mean, he was right up alongside them.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. He could carry the ball so well.
Yeah.
Incredible.
He could do everything. He'd done everything a yard quicker than everybody else. Turned quicker, controlled it quicker, took off quicker. He was just like Messi nowadays. He's just in a class of his own.
Yes. What about the time you scored the goal? That was against Manchester United, wasn't it?
Yeah, Community Shield. Actually, I'm going to the Community Shield in McDonald's now whenever I come back on Saturday. And in those days, we won the cup that year, '67, beat Chelsea, and we had to go to Manchester. They won Man United. They won the league that year. So went up there. Second half, there was a free kick just outside our box. Dave Mackay was in his run up to take it. I said, "Give it to me, Dave. I'll knock it up." And I was basically trying to hit our centre forward, Alan Gilzine. And I think Alex Stepney, the Man United goalkeeper, he's come out of the goal expecting to to pick up a miscontrolled ball. The fact it's travelled the length of the field. And it's missed Gilly. Gilly's missed it, and now poor old Alex in no man's land. And the next bounce, it's in the net. And everybody, including me, is thinking, you know, what is it? I'd never seen it before. What is the referee? What does he give?
Yes.
But even Kenneth Wilson home, who was commentating that day, lucky enough it was on television, and he said it took him half a minute to say that Jennings has scored a goal. So
from your own goal
from one
area
end to the other, it's something as a goalkeeper you dread happening, like, but it's not the fact it's travelled from one length of the length of the field to the other. It's what happens literally on the edge of their box.
Yes.
That was a distraction. But
did you ever discuss it with the Man United keeper?
No, I wouldn't like to tell you what he called me coming off after the match. But as I said, it's something you dread as a goalkeeper, being beat or something like that. But it happens, you know.
Yes. Pat, whenever you're preparing for a big match, indeed they were all big matches really, I suppose there was no small matches, what would be the daily routine? What time would you get up in the morning, for example?
It depends where it was, whether we were up. I mean, every other week you can imagine you were up the country or down the country. It might be a train journey, it might be a bus journey, depending where it was, how far it was. Nowadays they travel by any sort of distance to fly up. But nowadays it was mostly a train journey, so you'd have to go into town from Tottenham into London to get a train up, or if it wasn't too far up Midlands or that, then you would have got a coach from the ground. So some nights you went Friday nights for away matches. If it was close when you might have went early Saturday morning, but it was mostly overnight stays, especially for away games. So that was the procedure. Get up at maybe 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, have a walk, just to blow the cobwebs away in the morning, and then back for a pre-match meal at 11:30, 11:45. Pre-match meal in those days would have been started with tea and toast as much as you wanted. Then you would have had a nice fillet steak.
For
pre-match meal,
Okay, yes, yes, yes.
and then a bowl of baked rice pudding. And I reckon nowadays you got the benefit of that about 8 o'clock that night. So that's how much.
At least you could celebrate further.
That's how much things have changed, you know, in the diet nowadays to what the players. But that was the way it was. And then, of course, pre-match, you were in Europe, playing with Tottenham, Europe, every other week, or else away with the international team.
Yes, yes.
So that was the lifestyle, you know. But then away, maybe you come back Thursday morning from playing in Europe on the Wednesday night, travel back Thursday, went in training Friday morning, and then you maybe had to get ready for a coach trip or a train trip up the country.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the difference in the teams. You had to win in Europe, but also now you had to do the bread and butter stuff, win on the Saturday.
Yes, yes. Well,
so it was a fantastic lifestyle, I mean.
I know you would never
there was pressure, you know.
have imagined that. I had the honour of not playing a game of golf with you, but walking around while you were playing with Larry Powell and Dennis Taylor and was it Mike England?
Yeah, Mike. He was a colleague of mine in the Tottenham team.
That's
for
right.
all the years. He played centre half.
He was the captain of the Welsh team, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
and
right.
manager of the Welsh team. Fantastic player, fantastic centre half.
A lovely man too. But I was asking him. He asked me when did you think of becoming a musician first or something like that. I remember asking a poet one time. I said, "When did you begin to become a poet?" And he says, "When did everyone else stop being a poet?" But I asked Mike, when did he think of becoming a footballer? And I don't know, you might have been taking a shot at that time, Pat, on that golf game. But he said, well, when he was at school, in the primary school, the teacher went around asking everybody, what would you like to be? And she came to him first and says, I'd like to be a footballer. She says, no, this is serious now. You know, this is not a joke. What would you do for a living? And Mike says, well, I'd like to be a footballer. She says, look, I'll leave you to consider yourself a while. And she went around the rest of the class, you know, what would you like to be, a JCB driver, a doctor, or whatever. And she eventually came back and says, right, she says, now, Mike, what would you like to do with the rest of your life? What would you like to be? He said, a policeman. And she says, that's better. That's a bit more sensible. At least you can make a living. Do you hear that, class? But anyway, the years went by, and Mike, of course, captain of the Welsh team and Spurs and so on, he was invited back to open some new wing in the school. And he came in through the door, and the teacher was standing behind the door, very meek. And she says, I guess, she says, I have an apology to make to you. And Mike says, no apology. And he gave her a big hug, you know. And she says, well, you always were a very stubborn little boy, weren't you?
Probably confident, yeah. It's lovely if you can pick at that age what you want to be, and it happens to you. But I never dreamt about professional football, never thought it was available to me.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, Peter McParlin, the famous Peter McParlin, he lived literally a couple of 100 yards down the street from me.
Yes.
Peter, so I mean, there's not many streets in the country can say that with all those FA Cup medals and League Cup medals and UEFA Cup medals between us, you know.
We have a picture of Peter and yourself and Larry at one of those great events, and I want to come to that in a minute, Pat. What you've done off the field, which has been tremendous for charities, for all sorts of things that people don't know about or haven't heard about, and certainly you would never promulgate it. But as well as the football, of course, you had a great time for the music, and yourself and Luke Kelly were very, very good friends.
Friends apart in their prodigal son, and when they caressed me as oft times before, then I never will pay the wild rover no more, and it's no.
Well, Luke, I mean, what a fantastic bloke, what a fantastic character. And he absolutely loved football and footballers. I think he wanted to be a footballer himself, started with Home Farm in Dublin.
Yes.
And maybe a frustrated footballer, wanted to be a fantastic musician, and what a singer, you know. But at the back of it all, he sort of maybe regretted that he didn't make it as a footballer.
Yes.
But he absolutely loved footballers, and we absolutely loved him as well.
Where did you meet him first, or how did you get so close?
Through the Dubliners in the early days. My wife, Phil Colbert, who wrote a lot of the stuff for the Dubliners, and Eleanor, they went to whenever my wife went to England to sing, they were involved in the same office. And I can remember going to a show one night at the Albert Hall, way in the early years. And of course, in those days, everybody knew the Dubliners anyway from the success here in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
So we loved the music, loved the folk, and loved just the and Luke singing. I mean, there's nobody to touch him as far as I'm concerned. Absolutely brilliant singer.
And did he come to some of the matches as well?
Yeah, in the not so much. I know he went to all the League of the FAI matches, Republic games, and entertained them after the match. Travelled with them, and there was a few of the boys there that were into the music as well. Ray Tracy played for West Brom and Republic. He was loved his music and loved musicians and loved Luke, and Paddy Riley the same.
Yes.
They were just great times. And then Luke, whenever I got to know Luke would have come down here. By the way, to play golf down to Warren Point or Greenore. Yes. And we would have met him at the board, Louis Boyd and Laurie and ourselves, and pick him up. And as I say, the golfing's an excuse, and would maybe go out play 9 holes and come back near the clubhouse, and Luke would say, I think that's enough golf. And up into the clubhouse, yes. And within a half an hour, the place would be absolutely packed, and the old Luke would be in his lorry in the middle of them there, entertaining a lot of them. You know?
Yes.
And I can remember another night, we moved from there at 10 o'clock from the golf club on the Point up to the Crown Hotel in Jim O'Neill's place, Crown Hotels. It was in those days.
Point, yes.
And we went in at whatever time, 10 o'clock, half 10, come out at, I think it was 10 past 7 the next morning.
Bed and
with
breakfast.
Louis. And there was only maybe about 12, 15 of us there that night.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Luke sang all night. Just, Louis said to me coming out, he said, remember this night, because he said, you'll never have another night like it in your life. And it was the truest words he'd ever spoke. Just an unbelievable night.
I remember
but with so many nights like that with Luke.
I remember a few great nights with yourself and Louis, and singing a few Luke songs, and you were as good a singer as any of them. What
Who,
was
me?
one?
No, you're joking.
Oh, my name, that is Sam Hall. Jennings sweet.
I used to sing a few words of that with my wife, yeah. She helped me out, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Could you remember any of it?
Yeah, no, not the words, don't embarrass me.
Okay.
But no, the nights we had, so many great nights down here with Luke. I mean, supposedly golf, and all the nights we'd have gone up to Dublin and meet him and play golf in Dublin with him, and then off to some of his gigs on the nights, you know.
Yes.
But he was just such a lovely lad, and
Yes, yes.
just one of the magic looks. And then, of course, whenever he would come to London, we always went to his concerts in London. I had a testimonial in London, what year was that, 76, something like that. And after the match, one of the commissioners at the ground committee says, well, the lad looking for you outside. So I went out. As you can imagine, there's always people looking for you outside the football ground, you know. So I went out, and sure enough, there was Luke, the old denim suit, the passport in the top pocket, and the banjo. I said, let that lad in, that's my mate. So we came in, and it was our first night in the director's room. I'd been there 12 years, never been in the director's room before at Tottenham. So all of a sudden now we're slumming it in the director's room, Luke in the middle of us. And we went back that night to our house, had an all-night session, as you can imagine.
Yes, yes.
The Irish boys with Arsenal, they came to play in the match. Liam Brady and David O'Leary have never let me forget it since, that they weren't invited back.
Oh,
it
yes,
just
yes.
happened, and it was one of those nights.
Yes, yes.
But Luke actually stayed with us for 3 days, and our house was full because the family were over for the match, and we gave him an hour down off some of the beds. He sat in one of the settees, slept there.
Yes, yes.
And as I said, stayed with us for 3 days. And at the end of it, he said, you'd never guess what those 3 days, just to get me off the circuit, what it's done for me. Like.
Yes.
But that was what Luke was about, you know. Just a lovely thought I'd have around the place.
An amazing man, and that I can imagine that relationship been good for the two of you in a way.
Yeah.
Getting away from your own, the hecticness of each one.
And any night we was into Dublin, he would always been, where are you, I'll come and see. And
Yes.
I can remember one of the nights he came in and asked me, and I went out to the foyer, and it was just after he had had his first operation for the brain tumor.
Oh, yes.
It was just so sad to see him, you know.
Terrible.
And it's no, nay, and never. No, nay, never, no more will I lay the wild rover. No, never, no more.
Destination Newry. Keep it on. We're back in moments.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm just going to run through what digital signage is and how it can benefit your business. Let me once again explain. Digital signage is just a fancy word for your products and services being displayed on your screens within your premises. It is aimed at the customers who enter your premises to make them aware of all your services, which may include offers and promotions. This will encourage them to spend more with you rather than your competition. You might be amazed at the number of people who visit your business who buy other products or services from your competitor because they did not know that you offer the same. Do you ever run offers or promotions? Do you ever run events? Can you, hand on heart, say convincingly that all the people entering your business know about all these events, promotions or offers? How do they find out? Is it through local press, local radio, maybe through your own posters placed around your premises? Firstly, there is no guarantee your customer will see your advert. The press might be better to get new clients, though it's usually only available for 1 week or maybe one night and then thrown in the bin. And although in-house posters and leaflets are good and customers will read them, they can be time-consuming and expensive. When you consider that 80% of your future business will come from 20% of your existing customers, we would suggest you may be aiming at the wrong people. Those who are already buying from you, already like you, and are comfortable with you. But could they spend more money with you? So, how should you get your brand, your services, your promotions and events across to your customers in an efficient, fast and professional way? We at Vadio believe digital signage is the way. People love television. They are familiar and comfortable looking at a television or screen, as long as the content is engaging and informative. We at Vadio can place your brand, your offers and promotions on your screens, allowing your customers to become more informed of what you do and offer. It's as simple as that. So here is an example of a television with Vadio digital signage. As you can see, there is a top banner. This banner can change as many times as you like. Here are the side banners, which can complement your top banner. And here is your ticker bar, which can offer up-to-the-minute latest news, sport, etc., which again helps to attract the viewer, but more importantly, engage. And research has shown if a viewer engages with the content, they will engage with the advert. Here is the middle video section again. Unlike some of the older systems which just run advertisements or images, this section can have video you created and adverts in the form of images or live television. We have a lot of flexibility with our Vadio system, which allow us to go full screen and just schedule adverts to drop down at intervals set by you. That's it. Vadio offer to fully utilize what you already have to help you earn more money. You already have the premises, you're paying the rent, lease or mortgage, you're paying the staff. You have the products and services, just tell your customers. A famous quote which circled the marketing world and to a certain degree shook the business world goes like this: "It amazes me to see businesses spending millions of dollars every year trying to get me into their premises when I was already in there and they just didn't tell me all they do. So if you want to increase your sales, you need to market more to your existing customers. And we at Vadio believe we have the solution. Thank you.
Destination. You've reached your destination. Go! Destination Newry.
Tommy Sands back again with my very special guest, Pat Jennings.
Your wife Eleanor, beautiful singer, still a beautiful singer. And where did you meet her? She played with the Hilton, of course.
Yeah, in Newry, yeah, but I obviously knew the family, and then whenever I'd come home, went to a few of the dances, and went to a few of the shows that she was playing at. And then obviously got to know her, and then Eleanor, she left the Hilton and came to England to record for Decca.
Yes.
And obviously we were seeing much more of each other at that time. Like that was 65, and finished up getting engaged the night she played at the London Palladium, Sunday night at the London Palladium, sang Danny Boy.
Yes, I saw that.
And we got engaged that night, and then got married in 1967, 2nd of January.
Fantastic.
So.
And your own family are involved in music and in football?
Yeah. Well, we're all into music. I mean, you couldn't live in our house without music. And even my daughter, Siobhan, she plays piano, and she came to England here, or came to Ireland to university at Jordanstown. And the locals were looking at her, and she knew all the Irish songs, and that an English girl with a real English accent. How does she, how do you know all the songs? But she was brought up to them.
Yes.
And the same with Patrick.
Yes.
Patrick, he came to England, or came to Ireland, that tried to have a football career in England.
Yes.
Unfortunately, didn't make it.
Yes.
I mean, I was always on to him. Patrick, he was a good golfer. 2 or 3 of his mates made club pros, and Patrick was probably better than these lads. And
yes.
I was always persuading him then to, Patrick, take up golf, play golf. Maybe he mightn't have been good enough, but we'll never know. But worse, he wanted to be a footballer, and worse, he wanted to be a goalkeeper following me.
Yes.
And the early years, he signed for Wimbledon, left school, clever at school. We didn't want him to leave school, but we knew the pitfalls and didn't want him coming back down the line to say, I had an opportunity to be a footballer, but you kept me at school or something like that. So reluctantly, we let him leave school to go and play football, and didn't make it at Wimbledon. And then Vinnie Jones, the famous Vinnie Jones, he was leaving to coach at QPR. Vinnie took him to QPR with him. He played in all the pre-season games there at youth at 17, 18. They came to him, Patrick, we're short of money. Unless you're ready to go in the first team, we can't afford to pay you. He then went to Cardiff, played all the year in Cardiff reserves at 18, which was brilliant. And at the end of the season, Cardiff got relegated, no reserve team. So he was back at the same position again. So then he came back to UCD in Dublin, back to university, and got his degrees or whatever he wanted to do there. Played for UCD in the League of Ireland, then went to Derry, played 5 or 6 years, maybe more for Derry. I don't know how many years he was at Derry. Then back up to Dublin, Shamrock Rovers. He was Athlone, Sligo for a year, and he's now goalkeeping coach at St Pat's and fitness trainer at St Pat's. So he's doing well. They won the league last year.
Yes.
So.
And he found his own way. And,
Yeah, he's got a gym as well, a personal trainer in Dublin. So
Wonderful.
he's doing well.
Wonderful.
And just got married to Sarah Morrissey, one of Ireland's top models there about 6 weeks ago.
Oh, well.
So
Wonderful.
he's
That's
done
great,
well.
Pat.
Yeah.
Well, Pat, finally, and I know I'm very grateful that you come in, because I know your time is short when you come over here. You do so many things off the field. In fact, I was proud to be with you in a motorcycle a few years ago. Do you remember that?
Yeah, well, the Charity Cooperation Ireland, they ran my testimony at the time. They were just setting up way back in 85, 86.
Yes.
And it was a good vehicle for them, getting their name known, Cooperation Ireland, what they'd done.
Yes.
So they promoted the match and that for me, and run the match, sold the tickets and that. So I've been trying to repay them since Derek Dugan and myself. Derek, the great late Derek Dugan, he organised the game for me. Mm-hmm. And then Derek and myself got involved with the motorcycles. We done, obviously, Belfast, Dublin, picked up whatever it was, 1,500 cycles from Dublin back down the north the next day.
Yes.
And we done also swims from Omeath to Carlingford, or Warren Point to Omeath, that sort of stuff. Vintage car rallies, Belfast, Dublin. We're involved in all sorts of stuff. Then another time I got a call from Derek, and he said, "Pat, we're doing a little walk." So I said, "What's the walk?" I'd just done, when both of them come in to walk across Ireland, I'd just done the Banbridge and Uri lap, so I thought that was what he had in mind. And then the next thing he hit me with, he says, "We're doing Dublin Belfast walk." I said, "You're joking, Derek." He said, "No," he says, "just you walk and leave the talking to me." So we actually done it over a week. Left O'Connell Street in Dublin on the Monday and arrived in Belfast on Saturday morning. And with gigs more or less every night along the way, and raised a nice few bob for Cooperation Ireland.
Fantastic.
And of course, I've got my golf day, which I came to last year.
Yes.
That was my 20th year at Royal County Down. And hopefully now we're heading for 21 years in October.
Pat,
I'm involved in all sorts of charities, Variety Club on the other side, Sunshine Coach for handicapped kids, Sparks, the Bob Wilson charity. His daughter died of cancer in the early 30s, so they do special days for seriously ill people from 16 to 40. So I'm really involved, patron of that. But just to play golf, we get invites for golf, sometimes 2 and 3 a week. All great causes as well, so it's brilliant to be able to do it, you know.
It's great the work you do, Pat.
And I'm also involved here, Tom, with, I've been for the last 10 years with McDonald's and the Irish FA ambassador for them on a grassroots programme. And in our day, the people that set us up on football, they never got any sort of acknowledgement for what they've done out in the community there, entertaining thousands of kids up and down the country. So I've been involved in McDonald's and the Irish FA on the grassroots programme for the last 10 years. And we're now acknowledging those people out in the community that do great work every year. I think we're into the 4th year now of these community awards, which is brilliant, you know.
I think there's something, you've got this great ability to inspire. And I remember that, I wrote a song one time called "I'm Going Back in the Bicycle" that you might have heard.
Oh, yeah.
And Tommy Fagan rang me up. He says, "You wrote that song, I'm Going Back in the Bicycle." I did, to say. He says, "Well, we're doing a motorcycle from Belfast to Dublin. You would be the man to come on it." I says, "Tommy," I says, "I don't have a bike." He says, "We'll get you one."
Yeah.
I arrived back actually from Germany, and I hadn't rode a bicycle too much since I rode it to school every morning whenever it was working. But I remember you were there, and you said, "Follow me." And you rode down not the white line in the middle of the road, but in the side of the road, or the yellow line. And I thought to myself, well, once a goalkeeper, always a goalkeeper. But it was smoother it was smoother, and there were several stops on the way where if you're a little bit tired you would get orange juice or something.
Yeah.
So the first one was in Hillsborough, and you turned and he says, well, we keep going. I says, yeah. The next one was Lisburn, I think. You said, I suppose you're going all right. I said, yeah. The next one was Banbridge. There's not much point in stopping here, but we'll go to Newry. I says, okay. We arrived at that petrol station just on the Dublin road side of Newry.
Yeah, yeah.
And we stopped there. I remember I got off the bike, and well, I mean, you were as fit as a fiddle, of course, and I was walking like this here.
Shit with a bike.
I said, Pat, I'll catch up with you later, you know. But it is a great. It is a
Well,
great
our
event.
ones to this day, I mean, I stayed behind coming back from Dublin the next day in the early part of the morning to do interviews and that for the television and the press guys.
Yes.
And I'd started out with my brothers. I was going to travel back with them. There was 2 or 3 of them that done it.
Yes.
And they swear to this day, somehow I missed them at all the stops along. I just got in and I stopped at, my first stop I think was at Louis Boyd's house, and went in and had a cup of tea there, and then got on the bike and hit for Belfast.
Yes.
And to this day my boys think I got a lift, but I didn't make it, you know. So, but I definitely did. I done it all the way. But
Yeah.
I mean, over the years, generally I've been so rewarded for the work I've done. Like I got the MBE in '76, then I got upgraded OBE in '86, and an honorary doctorate from the University of Ulster at Coleraine, and '86 again, and KSG in '99 for services to charity from the Pope. So I mean, I'm so well recognised for what I've done, you know. So,
You've given a lot, Pat. You've given a lot, and many, many thanks for coming onto the programme. It's so good. I've met up with you from time to time and never had a chance of actually being able to sit down and have a chat like this.
Well, we've had some great nights as well over the years that we haven't had time to talk about with you, Tom. haven't we?
That's true.
Over the years I've been home, like we loved, right, I come home here every year throughout the Troubles with the family.
Yes, yes.
And there wasn't many places you could go on those nights, and we had a pick where we went where we could get into a house. So there was all the hotels, there was very few places you could go, there was nothing left.
That's right. That's right.
And we had to make our own entertainment. We had some great nights with you over the years. Never forget
Pat,
them.
we'll have many more, I hope.
Hope
Thank you
so.
very much
Yep,
indeed.
no problem, Tom.
Thanks, Pat. From Pat Jennings and myself, good night or good day, depending on what time you're watching in, and thank you very much indeed.
Did you see him sailing through the air and playing like a swallow, and the crowds go crazy? So you bring the pistol, no need to be. Pat Jennings is here. Pat Jennings is here.
We're a digital solution company with our headquarters in Ireland. We have, with colleagues in the United States, in Hungary and in India, developed what we believe to be the most cost-effective, the most simple to implement digital signage solution for every type of business that wants to increase sales and add to the quality of experience for their customer and their audience. Digital signage is just a fancy phrase for a method of displaying your product or services on devices and screens, televisions as well, engaging with your customer and helping your customer understand exactly what you do, what services you provide, and how your customer can access the same. And it all happens through the simplicity of this little box. If you're a retail business anywhere in the world, contact us and get a free digital signage trial. Now, to see how we power local internet television, please go to the aboutdestinationuri.com channel. And to review or join our business network, please go to the Local Business Network channel. Thank you.
Little boxes, little ticky-tacky little boxes, all the same.
and there's a green one,
and a pink one,
and a blue one,
and a yellow one, and they're all made
out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same.